Hello everybody, quick video tonight. Today is May 9th, 2011, Mother's Day. Right now we have gold $1,502 and silver $36.02. I tried to do a video yesterday and didn't exactly work out, so I wanted to do one last video after we had this big downturn in silver. Mainly in the paper market. Nothing's changed in the physical silver market. But you had a lot of people that I think above, say, $25, $30 an ounce on the COMEX. There was a lot of leverage being used, and the CME kept raising the margins and forced a lot of those people out. And then, actually, I believe tomorrow there's going to be another margin raise, so could see some downside, another dollar or so. Whatever, I mean, that doesn't bother me. I wanted to make one last comment tonight about this whole downturn. Before I do that, I had someone today ask me at what point would I be willing to just call it quits on silver and pull out whatever I have and just say this is enough, I'm not going to ride this any lower. And I asked him again, I said, what price on the downside? How low would it have to go for me to get out? I was just kind of stunned. I was like, huh? There's no price on the downside where I'm going to be getting out. I said, if it goes down back, I bought most of my silver below 20, you know, in the 13, 14, 15 range. If it goes back down, I said 13, 14, I've been looking around the house for things to sell. You know, because the upside is so huge when you just look at the entire scope of the whole silver market and what's happening. This huge opportunity that's been presented to us because of a whole bunch of variables all coming together at the same time. So I was saying, you know, I'm going to be looking to buy more. And so he says, so you wouldn't be willing to get out at any certain price? I said, if it went down to like $4 or $5 an ounce, I'd be thinking about selling my '73 Blazer I got, you know, I've had for 20 years, you know, unloading that thing and putting it all in. But that's how much I feel, how strongly I feel about silver. All the hundreds and probably 1,000 hours of research I've done. You know, I just feel so strongly about it. So anyway, I wanted to give 5 reasons why I believe that what we just saw has nothing to do with a repeat of 1980, which is a camp of people out there that believe, you know, 1980 we went from 11 in about 4 or 5 months up to 50, and then from 50 and 2 months later we're back below 11 and never saw 11 for 25 years until 2006. So, you know, it's all over with. There's a bunch of people out there who'll tell you that it's all over with. And we just saw a repeat of 1980. No, we didn't see no repeat of 1980. These are my five favorite reasons why this was not a repeat of 1980. You have to look at this in perspective of what's going on now, and things have changed. 1980 was 31 years ago. The silver market is totally different now. Reason number 1, there's been 10 times the amount of monopoly money created since 1980. And I understand that, you know, the velocity of money might not be where it needs to be for that to take full effect, but sorry, I have some allergies. You know, if the velocity gets to where it could be, where the banks are lending the money out, you could be talking $500 an ounce silver. That $50 1980 price could actually be like $500 now. I mean, even just looking at the government numbers, I believe, inflation numbers, that $50 is like $130. So we don't have the value of what's the dollar value where silver is now. It's not at that same value then. Number 2 is the fact that there's only about 1/3 the amount of physical silver available for investment than there was back in 1980. It's been consumed in industry. You know, it gets put into paints, sprayed on the walls for its antibacterial properties. It gets used in all electronics. You know, it gets used You know, I'm sure there's silver right here inside this little phone for the connections. This is going to get thrown out. The little tiny bits of silver in this thing, they're not going to get taken out of here. So use that as an example of the whole planet, how this just gets tossed out. So, you know, the silver is just not there. The amount of silver is not there that was there in 1980. Number three, the huge, huge factor is number three. The government had 325 million ounces of silver available that they could sell. Now, you know, the government's running short now just to keep their silver eagles being minted up. But they had a lot of silver back in 1980. 325 million ounces is the figure that I saw. Between 1980 and 2000, they were able to keep the price down, you know, around the $5 range. By selling that silver, you know, they could sell, what, 10 million, 15 million ounces every year, you know, to keep the price down. And they did. They sold all their silver over that time, and they held that price down. That can't happen now. The government can't do that. They don't have that amount of silver to be selling. You know, what's being sold are these short paper, you know, imaginary shares of silver, which don't even exist. That's what's holding it down now. That whole thing's going to blow up. Number four, when we ran up to 50 and came back down, that silver price was held down by the fact that interest rates by Volcker and Reagan were taken up to 20%. All that money that came out of the silver market had somewhere to go. It could go into sitting in the US dollar, which, you know, went to a high value then. It could go into bonds, it could go into money market. They were paying 18% interest. You know, that money had somewhere to go where it could, you know, still create some value for you, a return, you know, on your investment. Not like now. Where's that? If all this money comes rushing out of silver, where's it going to go? Well, these traders, that I'm sure they'll look for the next best trade, but you know, that's not a possibility here at, this time around. And number 5 point, this is the biggest thing of all. 1980 was mainly a U.S. event. The Chinese weren't involved. There's over 1 billion Chinese, and before 2002, I believe, I'm not sure the exact year, but definitely in 1980, it was illegal for them to own silver and buy bullion. They weren't involved. Now, the Chinese are involved. They're being encouraged by their government to purchase silver. In 2005, the country of China was a net exporter of silver of 3,000 tons. But last year, they imported 3,500 tons. And they're the number 3 largest producer of silver behind Mexico and Peru. So they're producing all this silver, they're mining it all, they're keeping it all, they're bringing in another 3,500 tons. The whole, you know, there's just so much involved now that makes this so much different than 1980. This is not 1980 all over again. Don't believe anybody who tells you that.